Well, I didn't expect to do another video follow-up so quickly, but I had so many good comments from you guys on the previous video about the LEGO Indiana Jones minifig, and you guys were saying you wanted to see a follow-up with the expanded Well of Souls that I'd mentioned. So I was up, this is why I look so disheveled, I was up from about 7 o'clock last night to 2:30 a.m. last night in the zone working on this expanded Well of Souls by combining the two sets. And I figured, why let grass grow? Might as well do the follow-up now while it's still fresh in my mind and everything's here and ready to go. Before we get into that though, no, I'm not about to do some ad or anything like that. We don't do that here at Retro Blasting. Before I get into that though, I wanted to address some of the other comments that were in the last video as related to the LEGO thing. Some of you misunderstood what I meant when I said I'm trying to stay focused on just the Raiders sets. I was referring specifically to Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I was referring to my struggle to possibly buy other Indiana Jones related sets. Some of you interpreted that to mean that Michael is struggling to jump right into all LEGO and, do Star Wars and Marvel and all that stuff. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble. I've been around the big Millennium Falcon sets. I've been around the big AT-ATs. I've been around the Mos Eisley Cantinas and all the amazing stuff. Even the $40 X-Wing, I've seen it. It's very cool stuff. I've been around Star Wars LEGO for a really long time, since the beginning. But it just doesn't hold any interest for me. And I think the reason it doesn't is because I have the full collection of vintage Kenner. So I've never wanted for anything in that respect. I have a huge amount of admiration for certain sets that came out over the years, like the stackable Rancor pit and Jabba's palace. Very, very cool designs. LEGO should be commended for that kind of stuff. The Death Star, extremely impressive, now immortalized in Marvel Spider-Man films. But for me personally, I just don't have any draw to that because I don't feel deprived for Star Wars or Marvel in that respect. I have a large collection of Marvel Legends action figures. Indiana Jones, on the other hand, consistently underserved in the action figure department, and I've chronicled that in a number of videos. Raiders of the Lost Ark being the best Indiana Jones film in my opinion, and also the one that just set my world on fire when I was growing up. That's what I meant when I said that the Raiders stuff was really tempting, and I might go back. The temptation for me, of course, is do I get the rest of the Indiana Jones stuff from other films? Not going full force into all LEGO. I have done LEGO stuff in the past, as you know. I've talked about the space series that I grew up with. I've talked about the redone Galaxy Explorer. I will be doing a video about the Lion Knight Castle that came out for the 90th anniversary. And of course, I did that one quirky little video about the Knights Procession set. I like LEGO. I don't have a lot of it. Oh, I do have the Horizon tall neck. I got that because I love the Horizon games, and it's the only real piece of Horizon merch that's come out. I cross my fingers that maybe one day LEGO will do Tomb Raider stuff. But yeah, I'm struggling with the Indiana Jones thing. Don't expect to see a Death Star playset review or Millennium Falcon review or anything like that. The other comments that kept coming up were about the original Well of Souls playset and how some people felt it was superior to this new one. Now, I remember seeing that Well of Souls playset in 2008. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but as an Indiana Jones fan and specifically a Raiders of the Lost Ark devotee, I did not see anything in that set that was worth, writing home about. That set was undersized. This new set is still in the facade format, but that original set was literally a facade, but it didn't even look like the original set. It looked like a set from a 1950s Aladdin movie. It had that weird blue jewel at the top, and it looked very chintzy. It looked like a Technicolor 1950s Aladdin movie set. I'm sure, based on what people have said about the way they built the Ark for that set and some of the other pieces and parts like the snakes and everything, that there are some good elements. I'd even be tempted to pick one up loose, complete, if I thought I could incorporate some of those parts into this build in kind of a version 3.0.
I got these pieces. They're good pieces, Marcus.
So I'm not doubting you guys that there are some good elements within that set.
Yes, they are nice.
But I do feel that the original 2008 set left a lot to be desired. I saw it on shelves. I was turned away by it. I thought, this is not the Well of Souls. The Anubis statues alone in the new set are far superior. Freestanding, three-dimensional statues that tower over the minifigures. That alone makes this worth the price of admission at $40. And so I realized there's a lot of potential here. If you get two, this could really be something. So let me walk you through what I did with two brand new 2023 Well of Souls Escape from the Lost Tomb Indiana Jones Lego sets.
Where are you going?
Through that wall. Just get ready to run, whatever happens to me.
What do you mean by that?
All right, so before we get into the details on this build, let me establish for you some ground rules that I set for myself, and also give you some context as to who I am and who I am not in the Lego space. I told myself that I would only work with pieces between the two sets. I was not going to reach out to a Lego pile, maybe somewhere in the studio, and find parts that could enhance or supplant or supplement some of the parts in here. The idea was, what can you do with just the two sets that you have in your hands? Fair? Secondly, I am not a Lego creator expert.
Does anyone here speak English or even ancient Greek?
I played with them as a kid. I've built a few modern sets in adulthood, but I am not some Lego designer expert guy, all right? I do have a brain. I can stack blocks. I can look at how things are engineered, and I can work with that. But I am not some Lego ideas guy, okay? I'm just somebody that really knows Indiana Jones.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
The first thing I did was look at the original structure of the playset as it is. Very nice playset, a big upgrade from the 2008, but I started to feel like the people at Lego were watching Raiders of the Lost Ark in a mirror. The reason I say that is because the action feature on this playset, which is the falling Anubis statue, which then crashes through the wall and goes into the mausoleum or mortuary area, the place where all the mummies are, it's on the right. However, when you watch the movie, you'll notice that the statue Indiana Jones decides to topple is the one closest to the Ark Sanctuary on the left. So the first thing I decided to do was re-engineer the entire back wall in a mirror of itself, so that the falling wall was now on the left and the rest of the wall was on the right. Then I went and looked at the enclosure for the Ark itself. In the film, the Ark is in a kind of four-post sanctuary with a cover over it. In the Lego set, it's merely just two columns and an archway, and that's it. But I was about to get two more columns and another archway from the duplicate set. So I decided to relocate the Ark of the Covenant dais a few studs away from the back wall so that I could incorporate the second archway to give it that four-post look, which makes it far more accurate at a glance to the Well of Souls set. Then I had to make the decision, what do I do with the entire new wall that I have with the duplicate set? At first I thought, well, maybe I'll just put it on the far end and do a kind of mirror image of the original playset, but then I realized what a waste that would be because of the snakes. The snakes coming out of the walls and other areas that were built into the original design were the key to figuring out where the other wall was going to go. Because in Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's when Indy is standing there trying to devise a solution to getting out of the Well of Souls that he looks to the wall to the left, perpendicular to the back wall where the Ark is kept. And he sees all the snakes coming out of the wall and he says, and that's when he decides to topple the statue.
Where are you going?
Through that wall.
So I decided, no, I'm going to put this new wall perpendicular to the back wall of the original playset on the left and create an expanded collapsing corner so that when the correct statue falls over, it will not only take out the back wall section, it will take out the entire back left corner of the playset. At that point, I said, you know what? I'm going to maximize the whole purpose of this wall as being the area where the snakes are coming out by moving the original snake drop dispenser from the back wall of the original playset and incorporating it into the wall on the left. So now the wall on the left has two snake drop dispensers and a bunch of snakes coming out of it just like in the movie. And then of course it was time to re-engineer the right side of the original back wall slightly, and also reverse all the mechanisms on the Anubis statues so that I could have an Anubis statue on the left do the falling instead of the one on the right.
I'm working on it, I'm working on it.
Whatever you're doing, do it faster!
The original Raiders of the Lost Ark set had a raised platform that the Anubis statues stood on each corner, and then there was a kind of recessed trench on the perimeter around it. The Lego set obviously doesn't do this, but having a duplicate Lego set affords you the ability to expand the land part, the ground floor part of the room back quite a bit so that you can get all 4 Anubis statues in that 4-corner look. But the real advantageous byproduct of having a duplicate of this set is that you have more torches and more snakes. So you can recreate Indy and Sala's torch perimeter that's trying to keep the snakes away while they set up a safe area to lift the Ark out of the Well of Souls.
Take it out! Easy! You need the torches, I'm running out. Go on, get out of here.
The showstopper, of course, in having 2 of these sets is that you have all 4 Anubis statues. And that really sets off the look for the Well of Souls better than either the 2023 or the 2008 basic playsets ever could. You really need that dynamic, awe-inspiring space, and those statues are what create that. So having all 4 of them here towering over the minifigures, surrounded by extra snakes and all the torches, it really makes it feel like a true Well of Souls playset. The last area that I'll mention is the tomb behind the wall, the sort of mausoleum or mortuary, whatever you want to call it, that has all the mummies. The original design for this playset put 2 sarcophagi on the back wall behind the Ark. So what I decided to do was take those sarcophagi pieces and the extras that were in the duplicate set, as well as the now duplicate mummy, and create a slightly expanded mortuary area that Marion would encounter when she comes through the big hole in the wall that Indy caused with the statue. I was able to use those sarcophagi to enhance that back area, which before was kind of a nice little extra, but it wasn't very substantive. Now it really feels like an added wing of the playset. All in all, I'm really happy with the result I achieved trying to expand the Well of Souls Lego location. The Well of Souls has always been underserved in merchandise, which is weird considering it is the centerpiece location in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It is the plot come alive. It's literally where the quest object of the entire film is found, and it's the location of the most famous line in the movie.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Like I said at the beginning, I am not a Lego creative expert or Lego ideas professional, so there are areas that I would like to improve in the future, specifically the mortuary area with the mummies. Right now, you're seeing what I could achieve with the parts I had on hand, because my rule was, what can I do with just the parts provided from 2 of these playsets? And I'm very happy to report that the answer to that question is quite a lot.